All right, everybody, buckle up. We got a long one. We got tons of stuff to talk about. Some of it's in this update post that I'm going to go over really quickly, and other things are not. I also know that this is going to be a long one because I just did this video without the mic on. So, rookie mistake. You live and you learn. But anyways, I'm doing it all again for you guys. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and start by going over the update post, and then I'll kind of do a roadmap for all the different things we're gonna cover. You can find chapters down in the description below. People have asked for those. I've been incorporating them. I hope you like them. Let me know in the comments section down below if you utilize them. Okay, going into the update. For starters, we got Brutus in the game. He's gonna be dropping soon. We have the pirate era battle coming up. We have a secret that I don't know what they're referring to, and nobody really seems to know, but we have a lot of speculation because there's a lot of stuff that's not here in this update post that's in the game that will be coming soon. Temple Guard shards are now farmable on fleet battles 3B hard. That's going to be important for people that are looking to get mace the second time around. We can finally start farming them. And then also for these bonus drops that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Then we have Captain Enoch Accelerated, which is huge for those people that have been waiting to farm Captain Enoch and the Night Sister Bros so that you can go ahead and do Peridea Patrol. So, with all that kind of out of the way, want to lay out that roadmap. First, we're going to go talk about Brutus. I'm not going to delve into the kit too much, but there's a couple things that I want to talk about there that are announced with the kit. Then we can talk about the bonus drops and kind of some of the freebies that are being included with bonus drops, and then how to hoard for the bonus drops. We also are going to talk about some of the Lightspeed stuff. So we got a couple of new Lightspeed bundles, as you saw from the thumbnail, that we can go over, and there's also some things about Lightspeed tokens that we'll go over. And then finally we'll wrap it all up with the era battle, going over what we know about the era battle, what the requirements are, what the rewards look like, and then kind of going over and ending with some analysis on the whole era battle thing, because I got some spreadsheet math to look at for you guys. Okay, so to start, let's go ahead and get into the Brutus kit reveal. We got this werewolf thriller looking guy. My biggest issue with Brutus is that he just looks like he's always scowling. It's this race of people, like, I don't know. I feel like Disney could do a better job putting a little bit of motion in the face, but nonetheless, I didn't watch a whole lot of Skeleton Crew other than the trailer, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Perfectly acceptable, but also another reason I'm not too excited about all these pirates. If you are, I really hope that you get all the enjoyment you want out of them. But, so I'm not going to talk about the kit reveal. That's not what I'm too interested in right now because they're not even in the game. Most of the people that he's going to be on a team with aren't in the game. What I do want to talk about is the event's dropping next Tuesday. We kind of already knew that. That's pretty figured out as far as a cadence goes. So new tunes come out on Tuesdays. Got that one. The next thing though is Brutus is required at Relic 7 for Galactic Legend Pirate King Hondo Onaka. Now, there's a pattern, maybe, kind of, sorta, if you're looking for it, that we can glean from this, right? So this is the fourth Marquee that we've had. And if we look at the other ones, well, I'm not going to look at them because I don't have all that pulled up, but I'll tell you, right? The first one was Captain Ithano, and he's required at Relic 3. Then our second Marquee that's required is Quiggled at Relic 5. So they kind of skipped 4. 4's not really a common relic level anyway for things. But then we go on to Kicks, which is required at Relic 6. And then now we have Brutus at Relic 7. So the speculation buzzing around town is that we have Vane that's going to be required at Relic 8. And then Silvo, Captain Silvo, or Jod, as some people call him, at Relic 9. Now, this is entirely speculation, but I think there is some merit to it. I think there's some credence to it because looking at the requirements that we already have, we have Gas required at Relic 9, we have Hondo at Relic 9, and we have Scavenger Ray at Relic 8. That one's kind of wild. But the point is, these requirements aren't looking a ton like the Galactic Legend of Sokotano requirements just yet. Now, it could just be that there's a lot of Relic 7 requirements, and Brutus is one of them. Or there could be some kind of pattern to this, and that's what we're going to see with Vane at Relic 8 and Jod at Relic 9. With Ahsoka Tano, we had 3 Relic 9 requirements. In some cases, the requirements for Galactic Legends have gone down. We saw that from Lord Vader over to Jabba, right? But I don't really feel like they're in that mode right now. I feel like we're in the mode of keeping the same pace, keeping the same requirements, or going up, scaling up a little bit. And especially with all the droid brains that have been going around, I think they're going to be looking for more Relic 9s, or at least the same, if nothing, right? So I think the fact that Jod would be the 3rd Relic 9 required between Hondo, Gas, and then Jod, I think that makes sense. But time will tell. Ultimately, we can look to the next set of requirements. If there's no Relic 9 in those set of requirements, I think it's even more likely that Jod is required at Relic 9. But again, we don't know for sure. That's just speculation. I just wanted to put that on your radars. I found that kind of interesting that it is kind of going in a pattern with new marquees, because Galactic Legends Ahsoka Tano just had a bunch of marquees at Relic 7. Like, it wasn't like, you know, oh, we're going to release them in a pattern here. Ultimately, honestly, very surprised that they had a marquee at Relic 3 and Relic 5 required. So that's what kind of leans toward it. And then even Relic 6, like, there's no reason, just Relic 7. Like, you have all the new Journey Guide characters, the epic confrontations required at Relic 7. Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano's marquees required at Relic 7. And then all of a sudden, it's, like, lessened. So, I don't know. Yeah. Tell me what you think in the comments down below if you agree, but whether or not you agree, get ready. Because we're probably still going to need 3 or 4 R9s for Pirate King Hondo Onaka. Okay, moving on from Brutus, we're going to go ahead and talk about the bonus drops that are happening. So I made a little spreadsheet. I love Calvin's videos. I think they're great. Always go to him to kind of figure out the math, because it's really hard in my head sometimes to figure out when I'm supposed to hoard what. But I wanted to put this little thing together. Since you're watching this video, you can kind of get that information here. And it's a little bit weird because we only have 2 days. They're kind of limiting that window on bonus drops. If you notice, they're limiting it more and more down just to a couple days. I don't think they want us hoarding as much as we have in the past. So yeah, looking at the start date, it's going to start August 8th. So not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow. You can, like, tomorrow will be your last chance to hoard, right? And then it ends on the 10th of August. So we have 3 days of bonus drops. Again, these are bonus drops, not double drops. Keep that in mind. Okay. For Cantina battles, we're going to be getting Captain Ithano, which is great for this new wave, and for a Galactic Legend Hondo requirement, that's going to help. But he would ultimately be the first one. And a lot of people kind of got a little extra Captain Ithano because they were getting ready for this air battle that didn't show up until now. Anyways, after 7 stars, you're going to go ahead and be able to farm Zetas on those same Cantina battle nodes. Then we have, for light side hard nodes, we have Padawan Sabine Wren. And then after you get her 7 stars, which I think a lot of people have at this point because of GLAT, we're going to be able to get flawed signal data. Zetas is a huge boon, and that's kind of why we've been able to keep up to some extent with how many Zetas they're releasing. But flawed signal data in the last event, I got like nothing. I think I got 2 or 3 pieces out of farming all the hard nodes. So do not put stock in the fact that you think you're going to be able to farm a bunch of flawed signal data. I wouldn't, at least. And I don't think it's going to be pretty common to get that, especially when you have to farm hard nodes in order to get the signal data to drop. I'm skeptical. But hopefully it drops for you. Good luck if it does. Then we have dark side hard nodes with Oppo, and then MK7 Chirotech shock prods after that, and then punishing one on fleet hard nodes with MK9 Chirotechs after 7 stars. Okay, so Oppo is definitely a character to go for. One thing to keep in mind about these bonus drops is the last set was incredibly generous in how many character shards dropped. So if you want a 7-star Oppo, you're probably going to be able to do it here. Maybe even Captain Ithano here, but Padawan Sabine, like, yeah, you'll probably be able to get her to 7 stars too. I just don't know how many people are really going for extra Padawan Sabine shards here. But the thing is, Oppo is normally on a light side hard node, so you're going to be able to kind of double dip if that is a relevant farm for you. In the past, the character shards or the bonus shards dropped more than the normal character shards on that node. So something to keep in mind if you're looking to hurry up and expedite that Oppo farm. I would definitely lean towards the dark side hard nodes, and I think a lot of people are going to. With the fleet hard nodes, Punishing One has been a great addition to the game if you haven't already got it 7 stars. It's really helped out Executor in both the counters and on defense. It's one of the most annoying things to fight on defense if you don't have Leviathan. So yeah, a couple of great shards. It's weird that they don't have any synergy really together. I think what's kind of happening is here they're just going they're picking one thing throughout the time, but I think Punishing One was last year. Time blends together. I don't know. But a little bit weird on the selection here. It's weird that it's not like just, well, Order 66. It would seem that Order 66 would make the most sense given that the last time we had this, it was at the end of Bad Batch into Order 66 era. And we got all Bad Batch characters. But anyway, we're not getting that. We're getting this disparate, weird thing of characters. Now, moving on to the strategy for hoarding. We only have a couple days. We only have today and whatever you farmed today, and then tomorrow. So to the extent that you have extra things to farm or refreshes to make today, go ahead and make those towards the end of the night. Gather up what you can, and then go ahead and make your refreshes. Okay, and this applies to kind of all the energies. Then tomorrow, you're gonna go ahead and stack on those up to the cap, right? So the cap for Cantina and Fleet is 1,000, and the cap for normal is 2,000. So my recommendation on that, and you notice mod battles, we don't have any bonus drops for them this time, so don't worry about doing mod battles. But my recommendation for hoarding your energy, right? You got the hundreds in Cantina that will get you 360 energy. So the reason I'm not doing like a total number of energy is because it's all over the map with what people have to spend today. But if you can do your hundreds tonight, go ahead and do your hundreds, and then tomorrow go ahead and do your hundreds also. And to the extent that you're not at the cap, go ahead and do 1 or 2 200s. You can only do 2 200 refreshes. So if you're not capped out, go ahead and do those 2, because I think it's going to be worth it between the Captain Ithano shards and the Zetas. Captain Ithano going to be kind of useful for this era battle for your 1 tune to get to 5 stars if you don't already have him. So highly recommend going ahead and doing the 200s, because the 100s are such a great value anyway, one of the best values in the game for us because that's our normal signal data farm. But nonetheless, okay, and then normal energy, you're not going to be able to hit the cap most likely with just 50s. I personally would only recommend doing the 50s if you really need Oppo. I don't know if you need Padawan Sabine Wren that bad, but if you really need Oppo, then you can go ahead and do the 100s. I just probably wouldn't, because there's not a ton of value there beyond that. But I don't know how many hard node shards you have to hard node farms. Right now, I have none. So, but I know I'm not in that situation. So if you have a lot of hard node farms and you're going to be taking advantage of that and doing that anyway, and you want to get all those Oppo shards, by all means, go ahead and do the 100s if you think you can afford it. It's not a terrible value, especially with all the bonus drops. And if you're obviously in a Chirotech farm, I wouldn't do this thing just for the Chirotechs. The Chirotechs didn't seem to drop like a ton. They seem to have an okay drop rate, but you know, there becomes a certain point where just doing your normal energy is going to be fine with Chirotechs, rather than relying on these bonus drops after you get the character to 7 stars. And then obviously if you need Punishing One is a ship, so it's not accelerated. So to the extent that you really want to take advantage of this and get a lot of Punishing One shards, that'd be okay too. I'm not entirely sure. I think Batcher is in fleet nodes. I can't remember what other characters are in fleet nodes except Temple Guard that just went to fleet nodes. So yeah, to the extent that you're farming those, if you want to go ahead and go into that higher Ecleon, you can, but do that after you do the 50s, because you're gonna hit cap probably. So you can do 1 or 2 100s if you really think you want it, but don't do them tonight. Okay, so that covers what the plan is for the bonus drops. Want to talk about a couple other freebies that we are kind of getting. There's a little bit of a weird one. If we look at the Datamine, there's this crystal pack that they mention here with Jod or Captain Silvo's Marquee event, but we're still on Brutus. So I think it's like really early to say this, and we don't know when it's coming. It's not in any of the, doesn't seem to be in any of the packs Datamine. Just this event pack. We don't know if this is going to just be a free 1,000 crystals. It kind of looks like it. Purchase limit of 1, but it could also end up being a couple dollars or something. I don't really know. And it's going to be a while before we actually see it because, well, Captain Silvo's Marquee event isn't for like a month. So just wanted to kind of put that on your radar. It might end up being limited to new people. I don't really know. They've been doing a lot of catch-up mechanics like that and stuff. So, but that's usually for shards. So I don't know. Just a weird one. I thought I'd draw your attention to it so we don't miss it. Like that pirate crystal hoard thing came out, and then that was a whole thing. If you do get a pop-up, don't just skip past it. And if it seems to be free, go ahead and select it because we don't want that drama. Some people still haven't got that pirate crystal hoard. I eventually got it like 2 or 3 days later. But anyways, there's another freebie that we can look at in the store, which is this Carbonite Lightspeed token in the EA web store. Go ahead and go down there, scroll all the way down to characters, and you should be able to get a free Carbonite Lightspeed token. 3 stars, gear 10. That could be pretty useful for some people. 0 crystals, you just buy one, you get one of those easily. I think this is also in the PC client. I've seen pictures, but I don't actually see it in mine. I ended up getting it through the web store, so that's something to consider. Also, going back to the bonus drops discussion real quick, in the Kessel run, if you go over here, okay, I gotta log in again, great. In the Kessel run, you have these events that give 100 normal energy a day. I don't know if everybody's taking advantage of those, but I think you should. Great source of Chirotex, great source of Carbonite circuit boards, and hard nodes if you're doing hard nodes, right? So you get one of these every day. You can see the 100 energy that you get, and you can store up to 3 of these. If you haven't collected these already, they keep down here. They kind of hoard up down here. You can hoard 2 of them, and then you can have one up here before the refresh happens. This refresh is not tied to your account refresh. So after, you know, your normal reset on the game, you're gonna have several hours to go ahead and collect this before it rolls down here. So to the extent that you can, go ahead and hoard these for the double drop days. Okay, it's like weird math, and I don't know what your schedule is, but go ahead and look at that. Another thing is that this is going to reset, so this is going to give us a lot of this coaxium, right? And most people who have been doing the Kessel run every day are going to be in the similar situation to me on the main coaxium heist, where the reward for Parsec 2 is 200 Cantina and 200 normal energy. So if you haven't collected this already, go ahead and keep that. There's no reason to click it. It doesn't run out for 21 days. And you can just kind of hoard that for a bonus drop or double drop event in the future too. Like you can't hoard this one for a bonus drop in the event in future. Like hold this one for the current upcoming bonus drop. But in the future, when you get this, you can just hold on to this reward in case there's a bonus drop that comes afterward, okay? Hope that was all kinds of twisted, but I hope you got the message there, okay? Extra energy for bonus drops. That's the big moral of the story, okay? Moving on. Okay, what are we talking about next? We're gonna go ahead and talk about the Lightspeed bundles. We have 2 new Lightspeed bundles in Ben Solo and Malgus, 2 conquest units. Ultimately, the main things to keep in mind about these are Relic 5 characters, 7 stars, and they have no Zetas and no Omicrons, okay? So if that helps you, really think about buying them. I don't know where your account is situated, obviously, but the main thing to consider is whether or not you are going to go ahead and get these pretty soon from Proving Grounds, right? Some people will not have access to these at all because they can't do Proving Grounds. Other people, you could get them to like as soon as Conquest is done, right? You could be on the verge of getting them this time around. So the thing to know about these 2 characters is they are largely PvP characters. They don't add a ton of value in any other aspect of the game, especially not at Relic 5. Like maybe TB, territory battles, but you'd want more relics on them. And I don't think I use Malgus, and I rarely use Ben. So just a couple of considerations. It's mostly just PvP. If you really think you're going to value from that, then go ahead and expedite the farm with the Lightspeed bundle. I think these are going to be in the ballpark of 20 to 40 bucks for the character. So I don't know the price. If you do know the price, if you find it out, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. But to that extent, if you're about to get the shards anyway, I wouldn't recommend doing the Lightspeed bundle because I don't think it's that hard to get to Relic 5. Like at this stage, I wouldn't pay for Relic 5 on my characters, but maybe you would. Maybe those things are a lot harder for you to get, so just keep that in mind, okay? And one more thing to note about Ben Solo in particular, there is another event going on. It's the Conquest Community Milestone event, and as part of spending Conquest energy, we are going to go ahead and get 20 Ben shards. Now, there's been times in the past where we didn't get the max milestone, but usually we'll always get this milestone. So I think it's pretty guaranteed that we're going to get Ben Solo shards at some point in the future. It says it usually comes in like, I honestly don't remember when they come in, but it's probably like a couple weeks to a month after the conquest that concludes it. So we're going to get 20 Maz Kanata shards if we get all the way to the end, and then 20 Ezra, 20 Ben, 20 Scion Boba, and 20 Terran Malicos. But this one's like a pretty given, so factor that into your whole calculation with Proving Grounds and whether or not you're going to get the Ben Solo shards, okay? Because the only consideration, as you get more and more shards of Ben Solo, the value of that Lightspeed bundle goes down and down and down and down and down, okay? So that wraps up Lightspeed bundles. Now let's talk about Lightspeed tokens. Lightspeed tokens, we have a new one in the shop called a KYBER Lightspeed token. This one is different than the ones that are currently in the game for the smugglers. This one is for tanks. Now it costs $17 to $20. I'm not sure what that is converted into your currency, but it seems to be $17 European. Like, what is that, euros? I think. I'm not sure what that symbol is, but I think it's euros. So around 17 of those things, and it comes in at 7 stars relic 5, and it is only applicable to tanks. Again, no Zetas, no Omicron abilities. This is not all tank characters. That is the important thing to know and keep in mind. It is not all tank characters. It is basically older tank characters that aren't requirements for like Galactic Legends, Journey Guides, Legendaries, you know, any of that stuff. So don't think you're gonna go ahead and get the newest tanks. Morgan Elspeth is specifically excluded, but looking through the list, I didn't see like Wrecker Mercenary in there. I didn't see Scorch in there. So just temper your expectations. A lot of the characters that are in that group that are in that in the list of tanks are ones that you can get the shards no problem. I think they're all accelerated probably. So they're not really hard to get. And at that point, you're really just kind of spending the $17 token on, you know, a little bit of extra signal data and some relic mats up to relic 5. Same analysis that I had with the Lightspeed bundles. I don't think that's worth it. Really, Adblock? Okay. So I don't think that's worth it ultimately. So I don't know how much I recommend this, but again, everybody's differently situated. If there's a tank on that list that's really going to help you, and it's really going to get you to unlock some other, you know, other events that could help, they kind of take those out. But again, I don't know the situation. I don't know if you really need that relic 5 character, but just something to know, okay? And then the one last thing on Lightspeed tokens is it looks like you're going to be able to gift the lower Lightspeed tokens like Carbonite through a Rhodium or Chromium to people. They were included in the game and it said recipient 1. And I think they're still the smuggler token. So just keep that in mind if gifting is your thing and you want to give them to somebody that you think it'll help out. Okay. That's all I got for Lightspeed tokens. Now we're going to move on to the era battle, the Pirate era battle. Lot to say about this. We got a lot of huge leaks on this one. Some of it I'll be able to show you. Other things I won't be able to show you as easily. But let's go ahead and look at the Datamine to start. Okay, we got Raiders of the Outer Rim down here, and it looks like you're only gonna need these characters. One of these characters should be able to get it. I don't know. I haven't seen the Datamine try at those levels, so I can't guarantee what is required at what gear tiers, but I think it's going to be made a lot easier with the fact that we can gear 12 relic 3 characters, or gear 12 3-star characters, my bad. So I think that's probably going to make it a lot easier depending on if you have the gear to do that, but you're going to be able to get 7 shards here. And then moving on to the extra tiers, we got tier 2 where we need it at 5 stars to be able to participate, and then going on from there 7 stars to participate. This is where a lot of people are going to fall off and we're not going to be able to participate for a while, except if somehow, which I don't anticipate this being a case, SM33, which people might have from Conquest without having done the Marquees and all that, if you have him at 7 stars, you might be able to get lucky in solo. I unfortunately will not have him at 7 stars this next time around, so I can't test that, but maybe one of you can. Let me know in the comment section down below, or ping me on Discord. Let me know. That could be pretty cool, because then we can start taking advantage of a little bit higher tier and getting some rewards. I'll go over the rewards in a second, for just having SM33 unlocked. So moving on to tier 4 and tier 5. Tier 4 is relic 5 required for all these characters. Not each one, just whatever you're going to play with. And then tier 5 is relic 7. And now we're going to go ahead and differentiate a little bit, because whereas previously relics, or tier 6 was relic 7 under Mace's event, it is now relic 9 again, like it was in the previous era battle Nightfall. So you're going to need relic 9 for tier 6 and tier 7. And what's not mentioned here, but it was mentioned somewhere else in the data mine, is that you are going to need Pirate King Hondo Onaka to unlock this tier. You might not need him to play in this tier, but you need him to unlock this tier, and then chances are he's required for the event. They just worded it weirdly. So whatever that be, they might not have required him just because he wouldn't have synergy. I don't know. That would be a weird CG move even still, because we can't use the old pirates. So that covers the tiers and what we know about the requirements. Okay, now the data mine also showed the rewards. There was a video that Barbosa put out from the data mine. Props to him for putting out all this information. Highly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and go into the game to look at the rewards, because they're actually kind of the exact same as the Crimes Against the Republic rewards that I haven't accepted yet. Whoops. Go ahead and fix that. You didn't see that. Okay, so looking at the rewards we have here, we're going to go ahead and go over tier 1. Look at the reward box here. This shows 2 characters. In the new one, it has all 4 of the Marquees, and you can expect that once the new Marquees come out, once Vane and Silvo come out, they will be included here as well. But as it stands, the first tier is going to give you an option of 7 shards, not an option, a random pick of Ithano, Quiggled, Kix, and then Brutus. Okay, then the second reward tier is going to do 10 to 15 of each of them as well. So 4 options to start, and then expanding to 6. Okay, and that requires the 5-star character. Then we have the 7-star tier, which is giving you Kyrotechs and gear. Okay, and then moving on from there is when we have the relic 5 required. That's going to go ahead and get you the signal data and the relic mats. It's going to be a random signal data and a random relic mat option. Okay, and then we go into the tier which is relic 7, and we have Zen Biddles, and then you always get the Zen Biddles, and then you get a random selection between 10 arrow magnifiers or 10 impulse detectors. Okay, then the final tier, well, not the final tier, the previous final tier, the R9 tier, the first stop, where it looks like that Pirate King Hondo is not required, because the data mine, they did it with Maz to start, which Maz obviously is in the game for the rest of us, but in the data mine it is. But you do get all 5 droid brains, gear to keypads, and Omicrons. This is not a random pick between these 3. You get all 3, which is previously made era battles very worth it. And well, I'll get into whether this one's worth it. So then the next one requires Pirate King Hondo Onaka, and then you can use any of those other R9s that you have. It's hard to determine what we need to farm because we don't know what's going to be able to complete the event. Maybe Pirate King Hondo Onaka does it by himself. Maybe he doesn't. It's hard to tell. We don't know, unfortunately. So, but all the characters of this tier are going to be required to be relic 9. Okay, so that goes over the rewards. They're pretty much the same. Now, let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and get into the value proposition, okay? So I went ahead and made a spreadsheet like I do, okay? If you saw my previous videos covering Order 66 era, you'll know that I mapped out basically all the values of different things to kind of get an idea of what the total value that out of farming the era was worth, and ultimately what the era battles provided. Well, when we're looking at whether or not this one is, we have some considerations to make. It kind of looks like we have to farm the same amount-ish of characters. And then, well, we definitely have to farm them all in order to get Pirate King Hondo Onaka, which unlocks the last tier, right? So at a minimum, we need all the marquees farmed. Then you have to consider that until we get Pirate King Hondo Onaka, we only have one pirate leader, and that's Captain Ithano. Because Maz doesn't come into the game till after Pirate King Hondo Onaka is here. So we kind of need Captain Ithano at the very least, high relic, in order to take advantage of those tiers early on. Okay, so that's something to consider. Then we also have to factor in the fact that we only get one air battle. This isn't like we got 2 air battles in the previous era for the entire 6 marquees. Now you obviously didn't need all of those marquees at all relic 9 in order to go ahead and take advantage of the air battles, and you won't need that for this one either. But you will, well, you likely won't need that for this one either. We don't know because Pirate King Hondo is not in the game and they couldn't test the last tier in the Datamine. So we don't know what's required for there. But we can look at kind of what we are getting and kind of determine whether or not we find it worth it overall. So going over to the piracy one, which still says Oppo up here, but it is going to be Captain Ithano. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out a little bit to make this a little bit more readable. Okay, so what this is looking at is the quantity of things that we are getting, the crystal value by the hard crystal value in the stores that those things are. Then we're looking at the actual value. These are values that we would assign to the thing, right? So you see, I don't value certain things highly here, so they have a 0 crystal value because I would never pay crystals for these things. But they do have some limited value. Obviously, where you're at in your career is going to change the value that these things have to you, right? So that Zetas might be worth more than 25 crystals to you. Chirotex might have a crystal value to you. Bronzium wiring might have a better crystal value. These high-end relic mats are definitely going to be more valuable to people that are earlier in the game, right? Then this is looking at the total value, okay? At timing, multiplying the quantity by the crystal value. That's ultimately what we're seeing in that column. Now, this over here is multiplying it by how many marquees that you're doing that for. The reason why we're multiplying it by the number of marquees is because we're looking at here everything that the marquee event is giving you. Because you got to factor that in too. It's not just about the air battles. You're investing in the character and you're getting a lot of things. You're getting different values at different points throughout the investment, right? So this is just looking at the marquee. And then we look at the episode pass down here, right? Because you're going to get certain bonus things if you bought the episode pass. And then, yeah, if you bought the episode pass, you'll get certain bonus things. I don't know if you bought the episode pass, but you can consider that. When I was whaling on the Order 66 era, I did, so this was included value. The reason I included this value is because I was kind of already sort of getting value out of just the track. And I wasn't including all the value in the track. This is just the bonus things from 7-starring the character, right? So this isn't the normal episode pass benefits. This is the one you get for reaching all of those different feats after 7-starring the marquee. These things are kind of separately related. That's why it's included here, okay? You do get 1 droid brain, 1 Omicron, 2 aero magnifiers, and 2 Zetas. So factor those in, calculate them all up, and they go towards the end, according to how many marquees that you're multiplying them by. Then we go into the era battle, okay? With this little token here, we can go ahead and switch how many era battles. Now, when we were in the previous era, we had 2 era battles, and we had some errors where we got multiple runs of the era battle or reset at midnight, that whole kind of thing. So we actually ended up with 23 era battles that we could take full advantage of and get the crystal tier. That is not going to be anywhere close to the case for this era battle. This one, if we're following the same cadence, which maybe we can interpret their language to say that, okay? We're going to get 2 every other week for 8 weeks, or for, 8 runs total, or however that worked. 4 runs. How did it work? Yeah, we got 12 total, okay? So it would be 8, 2 every other week for 4 weeks, and then 4, 1 every other week for 4 weeks. 8 weeks total, okay? So 12 total. The problem is we cannot do these tiers with the crystals prior to Pirate King Hondo's release. And he's not coming out next week. He's not coming out the week after next week. He's coming out about 5 weeks from now. So we're gonna miss out on 2 weeks of 2 era battles. So we have to drop this down to 8. Now this isn't a perfect representation if you can do the first R9 tier with the characters you have, with Captain Ithano lead and whatever pirates you already have. You get this value 4 more times, essentially. You'll get all this value 4 more times, right? All of these tiers you get 4 more times, and then the random parts of the air battles too, you get 4 more times. But you're only getting the 2000 crystals 8 times, not 12 times. Okay, and that's at a minimum. It takes you a little bit longer to get one of the marquees up and running because you're doing it through a different technique. You're going through shipments. It's going to take you a little bit longer, right? So this makes things a little bit complicated because then we have to go through 2 different sets of air battles in order to factor it in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 12 here, okay? And we're going to assume that from the get-go next week when it goes live, you can go ahead and hit the last R9 tier that doesn't require Pirate King Hondo Onaka. So you're going to get all this for 12. Take full advantage of it, okay? Then we're going to go ahead and basically remove 8,000 crystals because you're going to miss 4 air battles times 2 is 8,000 crystals. We're going to remove that from the ultimate total, essentially. Okay, so this is looking at the random parts because it's hard to apply a crystal value. So this is a weighted probability of these dropping, these amounts dropping, okay? And then we go down further and we're looking at the marquee calculator, okay? And this is looking at if you bought the era pass and then you took full advantage throughout the marquee week and you bought some packs in order to get to 7 stars by the end of the marquee, what you would have spent on each of those marquees, okay? Now, if you didn't buy the era pass, then you spent a little more to get to 7 stars, this value goes up. Well, it should have, but it wasn't. B2 to B63? Because it's not affecting the packs. Okay, so nonetheless, this would, on average, it would require 3 more packs, which would be about 4,000 crystals extra. Okay, so we're gonna do the math as though you bought the pass because it also affects it up here with the episode pass. But if you didn't, understand that this is gonna cost you 4,000 more crystals per marquee. Okay, but even looking at buying the era pass, looking at having all the marquees ready so that you can get Pirate King Hondo Onaka. Okay, this is what we did for the Order 66 air battle to determine our value. Okay, this is subtracting how many crystals we would spend normally getting them per day on a normal refresh once they go farmable, right? If you do 1 free refresh of the node, if you do 2 refreshes of the node, so on and so forth. This incorporates all of those values, okay? Now, when we look at doing a single refresh, essentially what this is saying, if you do all the marquees and you were doing a single refresh on all the marquees once they become farmable, otherwise, then when you do this plan and you whale out on the marquees, the actual cost of all those marquees is only 30,000 crystals. But we also have to take out 8,000 crystals, which means the actual cost is 37,000 crystals. Now, that might be a good deal to some, okay? Thinking 6 marquees only cost me 37,000 crystals if I don't farm that. Like, so if you would normally do 2 refreshes, this gets a little bit better. If you normally do 3, it gets a little bit better, okay? The problem is, and there's a big problem here, it's not the 8,000 crystals. We already calculated that in 37,000, right? You can make this read 37,000. I'll go ahead and do that just for the sake of our explanation here. But the big problem is that you have to relic these characters to some various relic level that is not required normally and only required for this era battle. Now, was that the same with the Pirates era battle or the Order 66 era battle? Yes, to some degree. The thing is, we knew that we were gonna relic 9 a lot of those characters to be used in the raid. So they had significant value in that. Many people are already planning to relic 9 them, myself included, for the raid. The era battle was then extra value. So I wasn't concerned about spending the relic materials on Oppo, on CX2, on Disguised Clone Trooper, right? But here, in order to go ahead and get this value, to get this discount on 6 marquees, you have to relic 9 characters like Captain Ithano, which you only need at relic 3. Quiggled, which you only need at relic 5. Brutus, which you only need at relic 7. Kicks, which you only need at relic 6. And then you could say, well, they have value in the raid too. The problem is we already have our value. That's already in the game. It's been in the game, right? So you don't need to spend those extra crystals to get that value out of those pirates. Secondly, if they, like, the character most likely to be used as your pirate team in the raid, it's going to be Pirate King Hondo Onaka, which you don't need all these characters at relic 9 to do that. I have a feeling Pirate King Hondo Onaka is going to be able to solo. If he can't solo, it's going to be some Underman, okay? Because look at all the Undermans we already have. You're not going to need, most likely, Captain Ithano and Quiggled at relic 9 to make this happen. But you will need them at relic 9 to some degree to go ahead and get the pirate air battle completed and get this discount. So it's not really a discount because you're spending so much materials that you wouldn't spend otherwise just to recoup some of that value. And say you need 2 characters at relic 9, okay? Say we didn't have any of the other characters, right? And we could only do it, we could get away with doing it with just the ones that are coming out, Vane and Silvo, right? Who might be required at relic 8 and relic 9, so you already kind of got to gear those up, right? It could save us crystals if we could actually get away with doing it, but we don't have a leader. So we're gonna have to wait till Pirate King Hondo Onaka comes out. Oh wait, we don't have Pirate King Hondo Onaka because we didn't get the rest of the marquees. Maybe Jod has a leadership ability. They haven't mentioned that, but maybe he does. So we're not actually waiting until Pirate King Hondo Onaka. We have to wait even longer. We have to wait until Maz Kanata comes out to lead them. And then she's not even the leader for them. So who's to say that she would be able to go ahead and carry us over and do the air battle? Well, we would also have to relic 9 her to be able to use her in that air battle. So that doesn't add up. Right? So it's just more and more costs and more uncertain rewards. Because if we're not getting Maz Kanata until 2 months from 2 weeks from now, so what is that? 10 weeks? We have like 2 air battles left with Maz Kanata. So this 12 number where we're doing 12 air battles doesn't even add up, right? And we're not getting any of the 1,000 crystals, so we can just take 20,000 off top out of this analysis, right? Because we're not going to be able to get that. So it just doesn't work. The math isn't great here. You're not getting a lot of value out of this air battle. It'd be different if we had 2 air battles that we can potentially get, right? Even if we missed 4 and we only got, say 20 because we missed 4 off the 12 each. Okay, well, those numbers look a lot more palatable because we're not taking anything off. Let's see, where did the numbers go wrong here? Oh, there's not a minus sign here. Something's not being calculated right. Oh, it's because I hard calculated it. This is why you don't mess with your you don't mess with your cells that have calculations in them. That's what happens here. Okay, so where did I go wrong here? I know. We'll just Control Z until it goes away. Okay, so this is back calculated normally. Then we go up to 20, and then we see that we actually gain value instead of losing value here, right? Because if we do 2 refreshes like normal, we'll gain 9,000 crystals. If we had 2 air battles, but we only have 1. It's done more than just cut the rewards in half. We went from 23 to 8. Now, granted, that was partly due to a bug, but I don't think we were in any case doing 16. We got Nightfall after 4. We missed 4 total with the Nightfall. No, did we miss 4? No, we only missed 2 before we were able to get the top rewards with Oppo and CX2. So we missed 2 there, and then we missed the first 2 with Mace while we waited for Deepa and Mace to come out. So we had 20 in the last set versus 8. It is much worse. It's like 2.5 times less value. It's more than cut in half. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's like 33%, I think. So overall, if you already did all this, if you already whaled on the 4, that changes the value proposition. Go for it, okay? But if you didn't, now is definitely not the time, because we already missed out on the marquee events. We already missed out on all this reward, and we're gonna have to spend more, so it's definitely not worth it. But again, your situation is gonna be different. Maybe that's worth it to you. Maybe that discount is nothing to you. Maybe you already have the mats hoarded. But I think for most people, we can just kind of forget about this era battle doing much for us. If you followed my bad advice, apparently, to go ahead and get Ithano to relic or 5 stars, because we thought we were getting another era battle, if you have that, then you're good. You have 5-star Captain Ithano, you can just go ahead and get all your shards. You'll still be getting half the shards you would have gotten under the system where we have 2 air battles, but at least you'll get something. And you can go ahead and get those 10 to 15 shards of the new marquees, and we'll just get Pirate King Hondo Onaka when he comes around next time. Not when he comes around next time, he's going to be in the journey guide, but when they become farmable, we'll be able to go ahead and farm those at whatever speed we want to farm them and go ahead and get them that way. But I don't think there's any reason to overspend. I don't think there's a reason to have FOMO on this era battle. There's nothing new in here. It's the same stuff as the other 2, really. It's kind of my take on it. Now, one thing I'll leave you with is the Datamine showed they were able to go ahead and accomplish some things. I'll go ahead and get into that here. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay, so this is with Captain Ithano lead. If you happen to be the one that marqueed these things or whaled on these marquees, I'll go ahead and make sure there's no audio because I don't want to get any copyright issues. But as you can see, this is Barbossa's video. This is not my video. He was going through the Datamine and he was able to go ahead and use whatever abilities he was using. I don't know what any of these characters' abilities are at the moment, but the ultimate point of this is that he is able to do the tier below the Pirate King Hondo Onaka tier with these characters. So you don't need to go after Brutus, you don't need to go after the ones that are coming out in order to do this. You would only need to R9 Captain Ithano, Quiggled, and Kicks, and then if you have SM33. If you're in my situation where you don't have SM33 yet because you're getting him from the long way, which some people might be in and new players will probably be in, then you can't do this probably. He's carrying it pretty hard, and according to Barbossa, like, SM33 seems to be the way that this gets done. He's key to it. So with that being said, if you don't have any relics on, or if you don't have SM33 unlocked and you weren't planning to R9 him, right, that previous analysis that we did not factor in relic 9 on conquest units, right? We didn't even, I don't know, I just didn't think SM33 would be part of this necessarily, but he's definitely not part of that analysis. So you're looking at relic 9ing a whole different character that is maybe not even a requirement for Pirate King Hondo Onaka. So another consideration. Now, this is not the minimum. He was able to do it. I didn't see the footage, but he said he was able to do Captain Ithano, SM33, and Kicks. Quiggled wasn't doing much here. I think you can see that he's just not doing much. He's doing little damage. He's not really taking hits even. So he's not really useful here. So you can get it done with Kicks and SM33 and Ithano, but it becomes more RNG dependent because if nothing else, you see those stuns going in on Quiggled. At least he's a body. But you might be able to do that with Brutus or whoever else you're relic 9ing, but just something to consider. I just wanted to show you that it is possible to do it without maxing all these characters. Definitely don't go full relic 9 on everything immediately because you don't need to, but you're gonna have to consider whether or not SM33 is critical of this, and we just have to wait because we don't know if you could do it without him until we get more data mines or it comes out and people start doing it. That's all we know at this point, right? So that is just kind of a first look at the air battle and whether or not you can accomplish that. yeah, ultimately, I don't think it's worth it. Ultimately, I don't think I missed out on much by holding back this era. I was kind of looking forward to maybe possibly being able to do it if I just wailed on one character and I could get SM33 by spending extra, like on the Conquest Pass or something. I might have had an opportunity to jump in, but the fact that we're not going to be able to get the 2,000 crystals for 4 era battles, I think it's 4 era battles, assuming it comes out next week, then it just, the value proposition goes down further and further and further and further. And again, the leadership issue is a big deal because, you know, if I could just get like Brutus or something, or Brutus and the new one, then I could buy the Air Pass, or maybe Vane and Jod, I could buy the Air Pass there and get 40 extra shards. It just changes the value proposition. But if I have to go back and buy, I have to shipment farm Captain Ithano to get him up there, and then I need another character, another Marquee. And again, I have no access to the 2000 tier anyway because Pirate King Hondo Onaka is required. Yeah, just not a good value proposition. But that's all I got to say. Thanks for sticking with me through a whole lot of this. I hope you got some useful updates. I hope some of this information was valuable. I hope you're looking forward to something in the game. There's a lot of things in here, so hopefully there's something for everybody. I'm personally looking forward to just taking advantage of the freebies, taking advantage of the bonus drops, and taking advantage of the free shards that are going to come from this air battle. Because I got a 5-star Captain Ithano already. And if you don't have one, you can pick one up during the bonus drops. So keep that in mind. Now I'm feeling like I kind of wasted that whole pack, because I just would have got it from the bonus drops. Oh, way to turn bad news into, or good news into bad news. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna leave you there. If you like this video, or if you got value out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know when it all goes live. I'll see you all next time. Bye.